In our complex world, deceit and misinformation constantly assail us from all sides. Baseless claims spread virally while facts are blithely ignored. Skilled manipulators play on emotions to override logic and truth. How can we see through the fog and recognize what is real? The ancient Stoics have profoundly relevant wisdom to offer in our era of disinformation. By learning their timeless lessons on discipline, critical thinking, and integrity, we can empower ourselves to detect deceit and clearly discern the truth. In this video, we will explore 12 key Stoic principles to help you separate fact from fiction. Applying this philosophical guidance allows you to question assumptions, analyze motivations, and evaluate evidence dispassionately. You can transcend manipulation and arrive at objective understanding. By integrating these strategies, you can cut through deceptions and align your mind with wisdom. Now, let us dive into these 12 Stoic keys to seeing through the illusions of life and reaching unclouded perception. Vigilance and virtue light the path ahead. Number 1. Question everything. Train yourself to question absolutely everything you encounter. Never accept any claim, no matter how authoritative or convincing it may seem, without thorough interrogation. Approach all statements with a healthy skepticism. When you hear something that makes an assertion, whether it's from the news, social media, a political figure, or even a trusted friend, immediately ask probing questions before believing it. What specific evidence supports this claim? Does the evidence truly substantiate the conclusion, or could there be alternative explanations? Is there concrete proof, or is it speculative? Could there be bias or an agenda behind this claim? Does it align with established facts and logical reasoning, or does something seem off? Are there respected experts with dissenting perspectives? Make questioning your automatic knee-jerk reaction to all claims, no matter the source. Let nothing slide by unexamined. Rigorously playing devil's advocate against every statement will protect you against falling for falsehoods or partial truths. The Stoics understood that if we uncritically absorb ideas, it leaves us vulnerable to manipulation and deceit. A disciplined mindset of open inquiry and skepticism is powerful protection. So stay relentlessly curious. Keep asking why, how, what if, to get to the deeper truth. Be a professional skeptic. By never taking anything at face value, you'll shield yourself from those trying to pull the wool over your eyes. Question everything, accept nothing without evidence, and you'll develop one of the sharpest defenses against deception. Number 2. Watch for inconsistencies. Beware of statements or narratives that don't add up or contain contradictions. Deceivers often trip themselves up in the details as it becomes difficult to keep lies straight. Carefully watch for inconsistencies in facts, behaviors, timelines, and other specifics. For example, does a claim about what happened conflict with known facts or objective records? Do the reasons given for something majorly change over time? Does a public persona contradict what former associates say about private behavior? Do expressions of values align with actual conduct? Actively look for these inconsistencies instead of glossing over them. Take note whenever a claim contains logical contradictions or violations of common sense. Lies often crumble when closely analyzed. Don't let small discrepancies slide. Target loose threads to unravel the deception. Keep a record of statements and details so you can reference them over time. Review this record periodically, looking for any mismatched facts, questionable gaps, or statements that now seem suspect. Make it a habit to go back and fact-check previous claims as new evidence arises. No one keeps perfect track of elaborate lies over time. Eventually, truth peeks through. By diligently watching for contradictions and inconsistencies, you can catch deceivers in their tangled web. Lies flourish in darkness, but wilt under the light of careful scrutiny. Train yourself to become a lie detector, alert to any cracks in stories that suggest untruths. The truth always leaves breadcrumbs. Follow the trail. Number 3. Pay attention to nonverbal cues. Go beyond just words and pay close attention to nonverbal signals when evaluating claims and statements. Facial expressions, body language, tone of voice, and other nonverbal factors can betray deceit even when the words sound convincing. Make a habit of noticing these potential tells. For example, does the facial expression match the content of what is being said? Or do you notice micro-expressions that contradict the words? Is the body language open or closed off? Are gestures fluid or awkward? Is the tone of voice confident or hesitant? Does their gaze meet yours or shift away? Are they standing still or fidgety? Learn common nonverbal signs of deception, like looking upward or to the left when recalling something that didn't happen, or briefly touching nose or mouth. Study your own natural expressions so you can better spot when someone looks rehearsed or phony. Observe nonverbal cues in the context of what is being discussed. Liars often unconsciously telegraph deception in their body language and demeanor, even as they speak with their words. It takes practice, but you can develop an eye for these subtle clues. Make a point of watching speakers' nonverbal signals during meetings, media interviews, or other situations where deception is possible. Truth-tellers are more likely to appear steady, confident, and congruent nonverbally. The body speaks volumes if you learn its language. Paying attention to nonverbal cues together with the words being spoken can help you become a human lie detector. Number 4. Trust your instincts. In addition to analytical observation, learn to trust your intuition when evaluating claims or sizing up situations. Human beings have evolved finely tuned instincts that can unconsciously detect deception in ways our conscious minds miss. If something feels wrong or raises your suspicions, pay attention to that feeling, even if you can't articulate exact reasons. For example, you may get the sense someone is being inauthentic, even if their words sound persuasive. Or your gut may scream danger about a person or situation that logically doesn't seem threatening. Listen to these instinctive reactions. They are picking up on subtle cues your rational mind isn't registering. Don't automatically dismiss hunches as irrational. The unconscious mind notices details like very brief micro-expressions, shifts in tone of voice, and other signals that can signal deceit or malicious intent. It then communicates these impressions in the form of intuition. Practice tuning into your gut instincts and taking them seriously. If a well-honed intuition tells you something is amiss, slow down and look closer. Ask more probing questions. Do not ignore warning bells even if you cannot explain them. Combining critical analysis with intuitive listening will make you a human lie detector. Pay attention when something pings your intuition even vaguely. Those subtle instincts may point toward deception you won't consciously recognize until you dig deeper. Your gut feelings contain wisdom. Learn their language and heed their messages. Number 5. Consider the source. When evaluating any claim or statement, thoroughly consider the source it comes from. Assess the credibility, reputation, and potential motivations of the person or organization presenting the information before taking it at face value. Ask yourself key questions about the source. Do they have a track record of integrity and honesty? Or are they known to exaggerate, mislead, or lie? Are they respected experts on the issue or speaking outside their area of knowledge? Do they have biases, agendas, or conflicts of interest that could color their statements? Also examine what the source stands to gain by making this claim. Are they seeking power, money, or influence? Be more suspicious of grandiose claims or sweeping generalizations made by those who directly benefit if you believe them. Approach statements from historically untrustworthy sources with intense skepticism. But even typically reliable sources can sometimes get things wrong or speak misleadingly out of self-interest. Consider context and credibility, but let no source get a free pass on fact-checking. Evaluating messengers alongside messages will help you filter out deception. Even if a claim sounds convincing on its face, think critically about where and who it comes from before accepting it. A statement is often only as truthful as its source. Vet both rigorously. Number 6. Check your own biases. To detect deception effectively, you must examine your own biases and tendencies towards confirmation bias. We all tend to readily accept claims that confirm our pre-existing beliefs and dismiss ones that contradict them. This clouds our ability to evaluate claims objectively. Make a habit of identifying your biases, assumptions, and ideological leanings so you can counteract their pull. Recognize which sources, narratives, and ideas appeal to your biases so you can view them more skeptically. Ask yourself how a claim would sound to those with an opposing viewpoint. Work to keep an intellectually open mindset. Don't reflexively reject claims that don't fit your worldview. Consider them fairly and check them thoroughly. Hold your beliefs lightly when analyzing new information rather than automatically distorting facts to fit your biases. Be especially rigorous about fact-checking claims that perfectly align with your existing opinions. It is all too easy to take these at face value without asking critical questions. Make sure your eagerness to believe isn't overriding your objectivity. Approaching all claims and narratives with an open yet critical mindset takes diligence. But it is essential to transcend your own biases in the search for truth. With constant self-awareness and introspection, you can better recognize deceit even in claims that flatter your viewpoint. Overcome the pull of confirmation bias. Number 7. Look for solid evidence. The ultimate test of any claim's truthfulness is hard, verifiable evidence. Do not simply accept hearsay, speculation, or vague assertions. Demand concrete proof to back up the claim. Carefully examine whether sweeping statements are supported by clear facts and definitive documentation from reputable sources. If a claim makes empirical assertions, are they backed up by scientifically valid data and methodologies? Or is key evidence omitted or withheld when you try to verify? Watch for vague language that glosses over lack of specifics. Terms like "many experts believe" or "studies have shown" sound convincing but mean little without supporting details. Press for unambiguous facts, data, expert testimony, and documentation. If evidence is purely anecdotal or attributed to unnamed sources, view it skeptically. This does not necessarily mean the claim is false, but unverifiable evidence should not be accepted as fact. Look for multiple neutral sources corroborating key points with specifics. Beware of claims propped up by flimsy or non-existent evidence. Deceivers rely on you not probing deeper past surface persuasiveness. Insist on seeing the foundation. If no solid evidence materializes, consider the claim unsubstantiated. Make verifying claims with credible evidence a reflex. Even seemingly authoritative statements could be house of cards waiting to collapse under scrutiny. Ground your understanding of issues and events in facts, data, and proof you can independently confirm. Evidence separates truth from lies. Number 8. Watch for defensiveness. When seeking the truth, watch how those making claims respond to probing questions and skepticism. Truth-tellers will thoughtfully address concerns and supply further details. Liars tend to become evasive, angry, or indignant at follow-up questions. If you raise logical objections or ask for clarification and the response is defensive, it could suggest deception. Does the person dodge follow-ups and try to shut down discussion by accusing you of doubting them? Do they get overly emotional or paint themselves as offended or outraged? Genuine truth-tellers remain calm when doubts arise and understand the importance of clarifying facts. They do not take questions about inconsistencies personally. Be wary of those who try to discourage or shame people out of raising concerns. Further explore claims that elicit a heated or defensive reaction when scrutinized. Ask direct but fair questions to see if clear explanations are forthcoming. Beware of responses that included subtle attacks on your character for not accepting something at face value. Of course, innocent people can sometimes get defensive out of confusion or misunderstanding rather than deceit, but recurring defensiveness in the face of scrutiny is a red flag. Observe patterns in how claims and those making them react to being questioned. Let the truth speak for itself. Number 9. Corroborate stories. An important way to determine the truth of a claim or story is to corroborate it through outside objective sources. Rather than just accepting or rejecting a statement at face value, see if independent sources can confirm the specifics. For example, if someone claims they achieved a certain accomplishment, look for records and trusted experts that can verify details and that the events unfolded as described. Or if a news story seems suspect, check if neutral journalists reach the same conclusions by examining the facts from the ground. Compile evidence from as many credible external sources as possible. Do they confirm the timeline and essential facts without contradiction? Beware if key details differ significantly across accounts or cannot be verified. Even anonymous sources should have corroborating evidence. Also look for internal consistency across tellings. Do the person's own descriptions of people, events, locations remain stable each time or shift suspiciously? Liars struggle to recall fabrications accurately. The more an account can be corroborated, the more likely it is true. Be meticulous in cross-checking stories against available evidence. Even honest people can misremember events or unknowingly spread misinformation. Confirmation protects against being deceived and helps pin down objective reality. Number 10. Analyze patterns. When evaluating the truthfulness and integrity of people or organizations, look for patterns of behavior rather than reacting to single incidents. Isolated, questionable actions could be anomalies or misunderstandings, but consistent issues over time indicate underlying untrustworthiness. For example, if a news source frequently publishes provocative claims without fact-checking or accountability, it suggests a systemic issue with credibility. Or if someone frequently makes commitments that then fall through with vague excuses, it shows unreliability rather than a one-time mistake. Analyze trends and track records rather than snapshots. Does an organization have a long-term pattern of opaque operations or deliberately misleading marketing? Do colleagues describe someone as habitually dishonest? Take note of multiple incidents that fit a pattern. Seeking context helps avoid snap judgments. Explore if concerning behaviors reflect deeper root causes versus flukes. Probe patterns thoroughly before assuming the worst. At the same time, do not dismiss serial issues as disconnected one-offs. A trail of deceitful behavior, however subtle, demands attention. Surface excuses may attempt to disguise a pattern. Hold consistent accountability. Analyzing issues in context and looking for meaningful patterns reveals underlying truths that get obscured by one-off assessments. Judging fairly requires perspective, but ultimately, actions speak louder than explanations or apologies. Number 11. Stay alert to manipulation. Beware of those who try to manipulate you through emotional appeals or preying on psychological vulnerabilities rather than relying on facts and ethical persuasion. While outright lies can deceive, skilled manipulators are subtler in their tactics. Stay alert to these signs of deception. For instance, notice if someone flatters you excessively or tries to make you feel embarrassed or ashamed for questioning them. Shaming, flattery, and peer pressure are all means of sidestepping objective debate. Likewise, watch for framing something as us versus them or making dramatic doomsday predictions if you don't comply. Observe your feelings when presented with a claim. Are your emotions being covertly provoked? For example, does it spark knee-jerk disgust, fear, or tribal anger before you examine the assertions rationally? Skilled manipulators know how to pull emotional levers to short-circuit critical thinking. Train yourself to observe if persuasion feels manipulative rather than ethical. Are you being provided with full context? Is the appeal free of bias or designed to play on biases? Or is the presentation selective or misleading in order to sway? Facts and ethical rhetoric stand on their own. Emotional manipulation should raise red flags. Stay watchful for anyone trying to covertly push your buttons rather than transparently persuade you. Even positive emotions like flattery can blind objectivity. Keep your mind clear and your wits intact. Number 12. Keep learning about deception. Harpening your ability to detect deceit and manipulation takes ongoing learning and vigilance. Make it a priority to keep educating yourself on the many tactics, logical fallacies, cognitive biases, and persuasion techniques that distort truth. The more familiar you become with the art of deception, the faster you'll recognize it. Study books and courses on critical thinking, persuasive psychology, propaganda techniques, and other fields relevant to separating truth from lies. Learn the thought processes and verbal tactics that let deceivers lead people astray. Watch for these not just in others, but also in yourself. Also, stay updated on current events involving widespread deception, whether in news, politics, advertising, or wherever it manifests. Analyze case studies to strengthen your lie detection skills. The better you understand real-world examples of mass manipulation and disinformation across spheres of life, the more adept you become. Finally, discuss ideas with truth-focused people. Exchange perspectives and call each other out on faulty thinking or gullibility. Truth-seeking requires community, accountability, and wisdom sharing. You will never reach a point where you cannot be fooled or manipulated. But with an ongoing commitment to expanding awareness, you develop hard-won skills for separating truth from deception. Stay humble, stay vigilant, and keep learning. The truth is worth it. As the great Stoic teacher Epictetus said, it is impossible that happiness and yearning for what is not present should ever be united. Deception and false perceptions only lead to misery. By diligently developing our skills of discernment, we free ourselves from lies and align our minds with truth and reality. This grants us tranquility. I hope these Stoic strategies for seeing through deceit have been useful. Stay vigilant in questioning, corroborating, and living by virtue. You now hold powerful tools to cut through illusions both around and within you. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more wisdom from the Stoic philosophers to help you live well. Also share this video with anyone you think would benefit from learning how to separate truth from lies using timeless insights. Together, we can cultivate lives of integrity. Until next time, stay thoughtful, stay present, and may you all find peace and serenity in the Stoic ways.